love magnets. Greetings, love warriors. Greetings, love icons. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad to be here with you tonight. We're talking about toxic femininity. Toxic femininity. What is that? Right? We hear so much about toxic masculinity and not nearly enough about toxic femininity, right? And some of you may be familiar with the term, and I'm going to share the AI generated definition, the Google definition of toxic femininity tonight. But I'm also going to extend an invitation to us to expand on this definition, right? To include some other things that we're going to talk about from an energetic perspective. Okay, so y'all buckle up. This one might be a little bit difficult to swallow, especially for those of us who are still like working through this phenomenon, right? Especially for those of us that may still have a little work to do in this area, and that is okay. You know, if this may touch a nerve for you. If it does, that's fine. Just get you a little hand mirror, go stand in the corner for a little while, and ask yourself, where is the work that I need to do, right? And I'm saying that jokingly, but seriously, sometimes we really just have to look at ourselves and go, is there some work I have to do in this area? And or this also could hit a nerve if you have had an intimate experience with toxic femininity. You know, if you had a mother who operated in toxic femininity, if you had a wife or a lover that operated in toxic femininity, if you had a sister or friend that operated in toxic femininity with you, right? So we're going to get into it, you guys. Greetings, greetings, greetings to everyone coming into the room. Greetings, Zena. Greetings, Jatin. Greetings, Shanae. Thank you guys so much for joining us. So, y'all, we're talking about toxic femininity. What is toxic femininity? That is the title tonight. And I'm gonna start with this AI generated definition, okay, of what toxic femininity is. And I promise you guys, this topic tonight is not just for women. Men, stay with us, stay engaged. Greetings, Dabney. Stay engaged with us tonight, okay? Because many of you have been a victim of toxic femininity. You have experienced toxic femininity, and that goes for both men and women. We've all, I think most of us at some point, have been a victim of toxic femininity, if not have ourselves perpetrated toxic femininity. Greetings, Blue Lotus. Okay, you guys, so toxic femininity, this is the AI generated definition of it, okay? And I'm going to expand on that. We're going to expand on it together tonight. And y'all, please give me some comments. This is going to hit you when we really get into it and start giving our own definition to it, okay? So toxic femininity is defined by, this is what I Googled, what I found. It says, toxic femininity is a term that describes the pressure that women face to conform to rigid gender roles and stereotypes. It can include internalized misogyny, submissive behavior, appearance-based value, strict gender roles, self-sacrifice, downplaying capabilities, avoiding confrontation, judging other women. Check this out, guys. Toxic femininity can have negative effects on women's mental health, and it can lead to chronic stress, pain, increased heart rate, high blood pressure, okay, muscle tension, and a weakened immune system. Wow. Wow. Can you guys believe that? That's pretty deep. That's pretty deep, right? It goes down the list of all the things that, you know, women feel subjected to in society, having this toxic definition of femininity placed on them, and even talks about physical health negative effects. All right, we're going to talk about some of the negative effects from an energetic perspective tonight, and we're going to start with the root chakra. This is going to be a series. I'm going to do several of these. I don't know how many it's going to take to go through all 7 chakras, but because tonight we have to do the setup and lay a foundation for the conversation, we're only going to get to root chakra tonight. Okay. Chronic stress, pain, increased heart rate, high blood pressure, and muscle tension, weakened immune system. Wow. Okay. So, you guys, I'm going to go into how this affects us energetically, right? And the point that I want to drive home is that on the surface, it may seem that the term toxic femininity refers only to those societal norms that have pushed women to the bottom. But toxic femininity defines femininity as a limited, monolithic experience. Okay, so a limited experience of women that only looks one way, right? Which further polarizes us into roles of the oppressed and the oppressor, right? It forces all gendered people, all people who identify as being men or women, into being either the oppressed or the oppressor, right? But in real life, the fact is that the experience of toxic femininity is actually very polarized, okay? So there are 2 extremes to toxic femininity. There is that version of toxic femininity that says, hey, here are the lines that women are to stay within, and it pushes women to the bottom, right? But there's also this other form of toxic femininity that praises false forms of femininity, okay? And that's what we're going to get into tonight, okay? And then we're going to talk about that as well as the root chakra injuries that persist or that occur due to the forms of toxic femininity that we always do hear about, okay? Those that push women to the bottom, okay? So when I say there's another form of toxic femininity that gives false praise to false forms of femininity, I am going to explain what I mean. Giving praise to false forms of femininity. So I'm inviting us to expand our definition to include the behaviors of women, the behaviors that arise from women as we try to even the score, right? Or try to protect ourselves from the toxicity that's pushed off on us. How often is it that when someone does something toxic to you, your reaction to their toxicity is also very toxic? It's very natural, right? It's very, very natural that, give me some hearts if that makes sense to you. It's very natural that if someone does something toxic to you, your gut, your base response, right, is going to be, in most cases, it's also going to be toxic unless you've been doing some serious work on yourself, right? Your base reaction is going to also be toxic when someone does something toxic to you. Right, petty, right? I see that in the, thanks for the hearts. And I see that comment. You ready petty, right? You're ready for it, right? So that's your base reaction. And another term that we use for the root chakra is the base chakra. Okay, so being a victim of toxic femininity or becoming a perpetrator of toxic femininity keeps you trapped in that root chakra. It keeps your energy trapped in that root chakra and keeps you operating from that root chakra. And that's what we want to talk about tonight. Okay, so the ways that we are affected when toxic femininity is pushed off on us as women and as people who operate from their feminine. So I'm not just saying this is not just women. I want to recognize now, right now in the outset, in the beginning of this conversation, that this also happens to men who are in touch with their feminine side. Okay, and I'm saying their feminine energy, and I'm not talking about women, men who who act feminine. I'm talking about men who are in touch with their feminine energy, men who are also nurturers, right? The men who are nurturing fathers and husbands and brothers and sons, right? So when you're a man and you're not a perpetrator of toxic masculinity, if you're not way at that other opposite pole, right, and you're a man who knows how to be supportive of other people and be nurturing toward other people, right, which is commonly seen as a feminine role, when in actuality it's not. It's just a balanced role. It's a highly evolved role. It's a more evolved type of man. Ladies, give me some hearts in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. A man who can be nurturing is an evolved man, right? Who's not so insecure with his masculinity that he knows how to support and be nurturing to others, right? Many times that man is also railroaded in the same ways that women are railroaded. They are relegated to the margins and, treated as less, right? Because we live in this, uh, eat or be eaten type of society, right? And yes, and men, they get called sassy and all kind of other stuff when they're trying to express their emotions without being violent, without introducing, toxic masculinity or trying to oppress anybody, right? So those, I see Blue Lotus said, those men make me melt. Okay, yeah, exactly. Lots of hearts from the ladies. Exactly. We like that. When you're in a healthy place within your femininity, you can appreciate and accept that from a man, right? So just keep that in mind as we're talking. I'm gonna say a lot of men and women, yada yada yada. I'll try not to always say women, but know that when I say the feminine or the feminine principle, people with feminine qualities, I'm also talking about men who know how to be nurturing, all right? Men who are more balanced in their energy, okay? So, y'all, toxic femininity. All right. So, this toxic femininity, it may place feminine people in either role as the oppressor or the oppressed, right? The oppressor or the oppressed. And we'll talk about how women are sometimes, when we talk about, that praise being given to false forms of femininity, that's placing women in the role of the oppressor. Okay. But the common themes, whether people who are leading in their feminine energy, I'm trying not to just say women, the people who lead with their feminine energy, right? And their divine feminine, right? When they are, this toxic femininity places those people in either oppressed or oppressor, but the common themes are always unequal energy exchange. Hello, somebody. Martyrdom, which means, putting yourself on the cross for someone, sacrificing, somebody's sacrificing themselves for someone else. Manipulation, egoic delusions of grandeur based on feminine gender or disposition. Okay, so we're talking about, on the low end, that type of toxic femininity that pushes the feminine principle downwards to the bottom. All right, that's that martyrdom, that sacrifice, right? That's also unequal energy exchange, right? It's like I'm giving and giving and giving. What am I receiving? Little to nothing, right? That's what the feminine person in the relationship, or the person with the feminine energy, is supposed to accept, little or nothing, right? And then on that other side, that flip side of toxic femininity, then women are encouraged to manipulate to get their way, right? As well as there is a school of thought out here that says, I'm always right because I'm the woman. I've heard women say that. I'm always right because I'm the woman. It's the happy wife, happy life type of school of thought. We've all heard that, right? Give me some hearts in the chat if that makes sense, okay? So this self-aggrandizing version of toxic femininity is this toxic woman that says, hey, I'm always right because I'm the woman, you know, and kind of flaunts it like, what are you going to do? Because if you say something to me, now you're toxic masculine. Take that. You know what I'm saying? It's like using that against you, right? Now, this could also, we see this type of attitude, unfortunately, in some women that are in some type of role of authority. This could be a supervisor, a boss, or CEO. It doesn't matter. It could also be an abusive or controlling mother. Hello, somebody. Give me some hearts in the chat if you can relate to that, to either of those. And we already talked about, you know, the type of woman that feels like she has an exclusive right to her emotions, and that, you know, masculine people shouldn't have any emotions. You know, like we said, we had some guys in the chat earlier saying, oh, well, y'all, you know, we could call sassy when we share our emotions. That's wrong. I mean, right is right and wrong is wrong, right? So another form of toxic femininity that we'll touch on more if we have time to, is the helpless woman, right? The helpless woman, the damsel in distress, right? That is toxic femininity. This is the woman who rejects adult responsibility, who rejects her responsibility to do her own work, you know, whether this is the outward work of supporting yourself, right? And you're, you know, waiting for a man to come along and rescue you, you know, or just the refusal to do your inner work, you know, the refusal to do your shadow work, right? It's like, no, I'm just going to hide behind this woman thing. And I'm just going to hide behind this big lie that all men are trash and that, you know, I'm right because I'm the woman. That automatically makes me the victim, right? Have y'all heard this? Does this resonate? Okay, so that is the fragile woman. Okay, this is the fragile woman, the perpetual victim woman, right? The perpetual victim woman. Okay, so that is another form of toxic femininity. Yes, and some men who are out of balance, many men who are out of balance love that. They do. Why? Why? Because, how they call Captain Save 'em, I see that comment. Because a woman who is a damsel in distress, if I go and save her, now she needs me, right? And there's this big thing in social media within the gender wars. Y'all know I'm so against gender wars, but there's this big debate within gender wars about women saying, oh, you know, I don't need a man, and the men are so triggered by that, right? But that really shouldn't be a trigger for a woman to not be in need and not need rescuing, okay? I think many women are trying to express that I don't need to be rescued by a man, but I do want to enjoy the company of a man. I do want to share my life with a man. I do want to share my happiness and my journey with a man, but not coming from a place of need, whether it's financial need, you know, or what, you know, whether when it comes to provision or protection, as they say, you know, the financial providing or the physical protection, or even emotional neediness, right? Me and a friend were talking about this today. Me and a client talked about this today, right? It's like, it's okay to not be coming into a relationship from a place of neediness. But men who do not intend to treat that woman as an equal, hello, are much more comfortable with her expressing neediness and staying in that role that toxic femininity has pushed her into, of needing a man. Okay, so guys in the chat, please don't, you know, let it rub you the wrong way, or you know, not all women are trying to say that men are useless when they say I don't need a man. Listen with your third eye, okay, and really decipher whether or not that's what she's really expressing, because many times it's not. It's just saying, hey, I want you. I have you here because I want you, not because I need you. Okay. So that's enough of that. We're going to keep going, you guys. But you see all the hearts in the chat. Like, yeah, this is real. You know, the women are like, yep, exactly. Okay. So I'm going to, I see a comment here. So I've been there too. It showed up in ways I don't even realize, and it kept me stuck. Yes, it's weird. Toxic femininity works that way because it's so accepted. It's a societal norm, unfortunately. But we're coming into this age of Aquarius, you guys. We're here. It's official, right? It's the rise of the divine feminine, not just the feminine. Everything, it's not just girl power. It's deeper than that. It's divine feminine, and divine femininity exists within balanced women and balanced men. Okay, so that's exciting to me, right? So, you guys, let's get into this root chakra. Let's get into this root chakra, okay? So, you guys, the root chakra corresponds physically, when we're talking about root chakra, we are talking about this energy center that exists in the area of the genitalia, okay? It exists in the area of the genitalia, in your reproductive organs, okay? The area that you are currently seated on, okay? This is the area of your genitalia, that is your root chakra, okay? So that's the physicality that we're talking about. So issues that have to do with that area, you know, certain things YouTube don't want you to say now. So I don't even, you know, I gotta be careful. But y'all know, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody watching has one. So, and also root chakra, your root chakra also has to do with issues that have to do with your physical safety, okay? Your physical safety, all right? Also financial security and early childhood programming around identity, okay? Yes, somebody in the chat said P power, absolutely, and we're going there first, okay? Thank you for that comment, okay? If you don't know what we're talking about, we say P power, where you been? Okay, so anyways. So now, genitalia, okay, we're gonna start there, all right? Listen, there's this lie out here, and I feel like it's gone away some, but I saw some stuff on social media the other day, some comments and a comment, and I was like, wow, I have to address this, okay? I saw this thing on Facebook. Somebody had said, oh, Maya, the singer, announces that she's been celibate for however many years. You know, that was the title of the post. And I was like, let me check out these comments and see how people are reacting to this. And there was lots of praise, which, depending on how you look at it, you know, you know. But I saw a comment that was like, yes, you know, I've been celibate for like 6 years now, and you have to get to know someone before you share the most precious thing that you have, before you share your treasure. Now listen, if you are, I'm gonna say 40, maybe possibly 35, maybe possibly as young as 35, but if you are, let's say 35 and older, you've heard this. You were probably taught that as a woman, right? This is the most valuable thing that you can share with a man or with your partner is your body, right? Your physicality, your genitalia, right? Come on now. Let's look at this logically. Let's look at this logically, okay? I want everybody to, like, just for a moment, put the religious programming to the side and let's look at this at a level of logic, okay? Now, in the real world, value is determined by rarity. Okay, rarity and uniqueness, right? Let's use the example of diamonds, right? Diamonds are of value because the amount of diamonds is limited, right? Supply versus demand. Things that are in low supply are of high value, right? It's not super easy to get your hand on real diamonds, and the more rare and unique the diamond is, the more valuable it is. Y'all, do y'all see where I'm going? How is this the one thing about you that every other woman has one? How is that the most valuable thing that you could share with a partner? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense, right? Somebody give me some hearts in the chat if you're following me, right? Why aren't we taught that the most valuable thing about us is our personhood, is our sense of self, right? Why aren't you ever told that your unique value proposition is your heart? Boom, Dabney said it. Dabney got it. Right here in the chat. A man. Got it. Okay? So why isn't it your heart? Why isn't it your soul? Why isn't it your vision, your personality, and who you are? Right? Isn't that the most unique and rare thing about you? Because there's only one you on the level of your soul, right? Just let's bust that myth down, because believing that keeps you trapped. If you're placing your value in the root chakra, that's the lowest chakra. This is what's considered the lowest vibrations. The root chakra houses shame, right? It's where we house injuries of rejection and abandonment. And that's what that belief sets you up for, rejection and abandonment. Because when you're taught, oh, your most precious treasure, the most precious part of you is your genitalia, and everybody's got one, and best believe he gonna go get it wherever just because he can. Come on now. So interesting, y'all. I just got a message popping up that, hey, this message is going to be, somebody's message is going to be held for review. I don't know what this. So the thing is, yes, okay, this is what was held for review. Someone is saying, I'm not going to put it on the screen, but someone is saying that you heard men say that you know what, it's not the price. And that's so true. So true. It's just like, it shouldn't be, because everybody has one. You know, it's like, develop yourself from the inside, develop your character. You know, what else are you bringing, right? So true. Good point. So it sets you up for feelings of rejection and abandonment, because then you're so devastated if your partner goes and gets the same thing from somebody else, and now you feel like, I done gave up the best part of me, and now you went and got, the best of me wasn't good enough. Come on. Just come on. Like, give me some hearts in the chat if this makes sense to you, if this resonates. Can you see how that is a setup? You see, it's a setup. Okay, so now, next, that's one element of root chakra. I'm gonna go to another one because we got to wrap up here. Let's talk about physical safety. Toxic femininity portrays women as incapable of protecting and defending themselves, or as being less feminine and therefore less desirable when they do defend themselves, right? So, and that pertains to physically defending yourself, or even speaking up to defend yourself. When you speak up to defend yourself, as, oh, she's a problem, right? She's a problem. She's got a lot of mouth. She's less desirable, right? Come on, that's not really cool. And even guys who are more nurturing get put in that same bag. It's like when you've held your tongue for so long, trying to be supportive, trying to be nurturing, trying to fit into this box of, the good man. And I swear, every time somebody says a good man this or a good man, a good woman that, when they attach good to it, the very next thing that's following up behind that is something about you totally sacrificing your personhood, right? Y'all ever notice that? The good man sacrifices his personhood and the good woman does too. How does that work? Right? So it's like one you've been holding your tongue for so long, but when you finally speak up, oh, now you're no good. Right? You're a problem. Now you're a problem, right? Toxic femininity. So, because the nurturer is supposed to never receive equity, equality, justice, none of that, right? It's just everything goes one way toward whoever the person who is more aggressive in the relationship, right? So, financial security, same thing, always leads to exploitation or either helplessness of the woman or an unsuspecting man based on feminine person's limited liability to provide for themselves. So this is the helpless woman, right? Who gets some unsuspecting man, and now we're gonna run you down through there. We're gonna run your pockets because I can't. I'm a girl. That's not true. That's not true. Yeah. Thank you. Zena put a reminder in there. Y'all hit that like button. Thank you. Absolutely. Hit that like button. And if there's anyone here that's not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Okay? So early childhood programming around identity, what you may contribute to the world will be less or be limited based on your gender. That's early childhood program. We're programmed in early childhood to think that whatever we contribute to the world is going to be less, or it's going to be limited, or it's going to be gender based. Like, hey, anything I do that's important can only pertain to women. I can make a difference in the world for women, not for men. That's BS. That's crazy. That's really crazy. This is the last thing I'm going to mention, because I really just want to get our wheels turning. There's no way we can cover everything tonight. And so if y'all have a question, go ahead and put your question in the chat, because I'm going to give the last point before we wrap up. If you have any questions, go ahead and throw your questions in the chat now, okay? I'm going to explain this phenomenon that I call the rejected one, okay? I'll call this the rejected one. A very common root chakra injury is what I call the rejected one, okay? This is a phenomenon that occurs when a child, it doesn't matter if it's a male or female child, but it is very, very common among women. But men do this too, y'all. Listen. This occurs when a child experiences extreme rejection or abandonment, and this is to include emotional rejection or abandonment. It doesn't have to be physical rejection or abandonment. But when a child experiences extreme emotional or physical rejection or abandonment from a parent, this shows up later in adulthood as addiction to rejection. Addiction to rejection, okay? This is root chakra, you guys. People often associate addiction with the solar plexus, but it starts in the root. Why? Early childhood injury, okay? Early childhood injury. Now, addiction to rejection looks like this. Once the rejected child grows up and begins dating, they are emotionally hooked only by people who offer them some element of rejection. Now, this could be like covert, just outright rejection, or like overt rejection. Like, I just don't want you, bye, And that's, you get stuck on that person that just really ain't thinking about you like that. Or it could be a covert type of rejection where it's like, I'm acting like I'm liking you, but I'm really not available. I really don't make myself available. I entertain you when I want to entertain you. right? I entertain you to the degree that I decide. It doesn't have anything to do with whatever need or desire you're expressing to me. It is only according to my determination. That is a form of rejection. It's covert rejection, right? And any type of rejection in between, outright rejection or covert rejection, right? Give me some hearts if this makes sense. That is who the rejected one, that child who is now grown up, that's who they get emotionally hooked by. The person that will entertain you, but will never fulfill what it is you have expressed to them that you need or desire in that relationship. Okay? That's the only thing that just you really can stay emotionally engaged with, is something that offers you just a little, that little fix, right? Just a little something, something in terms of rejection. Okay? Yes, so did I, Blue Lotus. Yes. Okay? So that is the thing that is like, so on the flip side of that, the person who's really, really like, oh, I really want you, I really, really like you, I want to be with you, I'm in love with you. The rejected one, that child that was rejected young, will not want that person. This, really the person that really, really wants them, love them, want to treat them right, and, is putting everything, laying it out and making it easy, not in any way rejecting them, the rejected one will automatically reject that person. Automatically rejects the person who really, really wants them. So for that reason, I call this phenomenon, the way this works, the rejected one, because either that person who got rejected in early childhood, either they need to be rejected, or they do the rejecting, but someone always in the dynamic must be the rejected one, right? It's deep. Dabney says, what if it's made known up front what it is? Are you saying if they clarify this question for me? So that is like, it's a hook. It's a hook. It's a cycle, right? Where you're always chasing someone who really doesn't want you, or, you're always rejecting the person that really does want you. But there must be some element of rejection to keep you involved. It's like you don't know how to stay engaged with someone who really does want you. You need the satisfaction. You need that hit of rejection for it to stay exciting. Right? So I don't see a clarification on this question, but I'm going to assume that Dabney means, what if it's made known up front that, hey, I'm not going to give you what you want in this relationship. And if that's what you mean, then I'm still going to say, yeah, that qualifies. A person who lets you know, if a person lets you know up front, hey, I'm not going to give you what you want in this relationship, and then you continue dating them, even though they've already told you, hey, this is where I'm at in my life, and you know that doesn't match where you are in your life, that's chasing rejection. It is. When two people agree, well, two people have a conversation, and what comes out in the conversation it doesn't represent agreement. I'm here, you're there. You can't keep dating that person. Well, you can, but if they told you they're not going to give you what you want, then it's chasing rejection. So yes. And that, if that's a pattern for someone, more than likely, if they look back in their history with their parents, one or both of their parents either physically or emotionally rejected them, refused to give them what they needed. Okay? They had a parent that was unable to fulfill what they needed as a child. Okay? So Blue Lotus says, I went through that, Dabney, but I thought it would change. Yes. I've been through that. You guys, let me tell you something. 90% of what I talk about is what I discovered through my own journey. 90% of what I talk about. 90% of what I talk about on every week. It's stuff that I went through and discovered on my healing journey. You know, I went through that. I was the rejected one. Okay? I've gotten to a place in my life through my healing journey where I'm going to let a person know, yes, people do it to themselves. So I'm going to let a person know in the beginning, here's you know, what I want out of a dating experience. Are we on the same page? And if we're not, you have to say, okay, you know what? This may be a beautiful person, a wonderful person. You may really love this person endlessly. You may be like, yo, we were whatever in another life. It could be whatever. But if y'all not on the same page, you have to both, or it's going to turn into something unhealthy, someone chasing someone. Let's see. Blue Lotus says, that was the last person I had a physical connection with. It's been 4 years that I've been celebrating. See, because I want to stop the cycle. Okay, are you saying celebrating or are you saying celibate? I don't know if this was an article. Yes, celibate. Okay, got you. Now, I'm glad, thank you for bringing celibacy back up, because when I saw that post about Maya and everybody was like, oh, good, cheering, 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 there wasn't a lot of context there. You know, there was not a lot of context. And then I see all these other women, you know, with bigger and bigger numbers. It seemed like more further and further I went in the comments. It was like, oh, I've been celibate for 6 years, 7 years, 10 years. And I'm like, my God, is that the goal, really? You know, if you're doing this to stop a cycle, yes, I get that. Sometimes it is necessary to go through a period of abstinence, but it's like, am I abstaining from other things other than just that physical engagement, right? You got to abstain from something else other than the get down, right? Abstain from the behaviors that have led you down the dark path, right? So we do this, we go through this period of abstinence or celibacy. To the meaning of being celibate means to not get physical with anyone, not be physically intimate with anyone. So celibate means like no, under no circumstances. Most of the time somebody says abstinent, they're saying this is a temporary situation. I'm just abstaining for a period of time. Okay. So that you have to also refrain from the behaviors that led you down that road. And a lot of times the physicality of it, the physical intimacy is just like part of it. It's just part of the cycle. So you stop that so that you have an opportunity to sit back and look at your other behaviors in relationship. So the intrinsic value is not just in, you know, not sharing your body. That's not the end of it. That's not the end of it. Because you can still be needy and toxic. And I feel like this is what you're saying, Blue Lotus, that you're doing this to stop this cycle, because we can still be pushing our emotional needs off on other people. We can still be ignoring their needs. We can still be doing all kinds of things that are toxic, but not, you know, sharing our bodies. So the point is to pull back physically and to begin to observe so you can change your other behaviors as well. Start some new patterns in the relationship. And Danny says, how does being celibate change the behavior when that's not the issue? Exactly what I'm saying. It's not just that. Now, for some people, that is a major driver, right? Trying to get that physical affection is the major driver in a relationship, and that's the reason that they do everything they do in a relationship. So it is absolutely necessary for them to stop that, right? There's been times in my life when I was way younger, I did that. You know, I went through the celibacy thing, but as I became older and I started learning how to master my energies and understanding the importance of keeping balance in my sacral, right? In my sacral chakra. I was like, no, I'm not here for the celibacy thing. Because then that's for me, it feels out of balance, right? It's like you want to keep things balanced, everything in moderation. Everything in moderation. Okay. And celibacy is not, it's not moderation for me. I don't like the space that it puts me in. I end up angry. I don't like it. Y'all know how to start some conversations. Okay. Yes, it starts from the mind and not the body. Absolutely. Yes, yes. Blue Lotus. I see your comment. I am not allowed to share it in the chat, but I'll say that, if you don't mind, that that for you, you were saying the physicality meant love. Yes, yes. And at the time when I was using that as a crutch to just simulate the feeling of love, right? Then it wasn't healthy. And it's like, oh, no, gotta stop that behavior, you know? But once you get that together in your mind and I mean, different strokes for different folks, or no strokes for some folks. Isn't that what we're talking about? Y'all, we can laugh about this. Give me some hearts, give me some smiley faces in the chat. It's no strokes for some folks, right? That's what we're talking about, right? But that it's so important that we understand that it's just about having it in its proper place. We can't make that the be all end all, right? And sometimes pulling back on the physicality gives you an opportunity to explore other aspects of yourself with someone who is also willing to do that with you, because you either got to have someone who's willing to stay in it with you, you know, without the physical aspect, or is able to stay engaged with you emotionally even after the physical engagement occurs. Now, it's so hard not to say these words they don't want us to say, but y'all know what I'm talking about, right? After the strokes, sometimes things change, right? The person is no longer able to, in many cases, stay emotionally engaged with you after they have physically engaged with you, because that, in their mind, somewhere in their mind, that still was the be all end all. And I challenge all of us to stop and really look at our own behaviors. How did I behave in the relationship once we physically engaged? There's a few different responses. It's one of two or three responses. Some people after that become really like distant. They like cut things off. Okay. Some people are like that. It's just like, everything is a decline. Like the amount of communication and emotional engagement with you goes down after that, right? After the physical engagement. Or some people, when they physically engage with someone, they become real clingy, like that. Now I'm needing this reassurance that you're not about to reject or abandon me, since now that the physical engagement has occurred, right? And then some people just kind of stand back and get a little bit distant, right? Just a little bit distant, like trying to play like cool, calm, and collected, because they don't want to appear clingy, or that they expect, anything. Right? They kind of become like they're like emotionally detached, But what a more balanced situation looks like is that, hey, we've been physical. Let's continue to engage each other emotionally the way we've been doing it. If it was good. If the physical engagement was good, only thing I'm gonna say about it, you guys, then we're gonna wrap that part up, is that look, I'm not the one to put celibacy on a pedestal, or whatever the opposite of celibacy is called, on a pedestal. But I will say this: I believe, and this is just food for thought. I think it is wise to get to know someone and establish a foundation, some kind of foundation with the person. If this is someone you want to be in a relationship with, if that's your intention to be in a relationship with that person, I would say start some kind of foundation with them first, a foundation that can withstand a disagreement, right? That can withstand a disagreement or misunderstanding. Okay? Because when you trying to build something solid with somebody and you kind of hit it right away, then it's like it's real easy at that point for any misunderstanding or disagreement to turn into, oh, well, I knew you just, that's all you wanted. I knew that's all you wanted from me. I'm out. You know? So even people who think that they know really deeply, they think that they know, it's all about the heart. It's all about the mind. You know, the body's not the most, you know, the prize. We think that we know that, but it's so greatly, deeply ingrained in us. It really, really is. It's so deeply and greatly ingrained that sometimes you can be the perpetrator and not even realize it. Sometimes you can say, well, we've already been physical, so now that we're having a disagreement or this person's getting on my nerves, I can easily detach because, you know, really in the back of my mind, that was the climax anyway. That was the climax of the connection anyway. Right? So anyways, okay, you guys, we've been on here much longer than I intended tonight. It's supposed to be 30 minutes. Give me some hearts and some smiley faces if this resonated for y'all tonight. We have to stop looking at femininity as the weaker disposition. Okay, that is the point. Stop looking at femininity as the weaker disposition. And as we come into this new era, the age of Aquarius, where you see the divine feminine on the rise, meaning toxic masculinity is going out the door, right? And people are starting to open up. It's okay for men to express their feelings. How great is that, right? It's okay for women to express their feelings. How great is that, right? It's okay for women to be independent. You know, it's okay. You know, it's totally all right. That is a new world that we live in. You know, if women want to, be independent and provide for themselves and protect themselves, it's not saying, hey, we don't love and we don't value and don't need men. It's just saying that, I want to do this for myself. So then that way, when we come together, we're coming together on equal footing. That can make a beautiful situation, right? How much pressure does that take off of men? How much pressure does that take? Where they're not having to pretend to be this tough guy that has all the answers all the time and they, never scared. Right? Like, come on, that's not real. It's about time that we engage one another like whole humans, right? Like whole humans. Okay. Damn, I'm not going to say this comment that you just put in here out loud. I don't want the crowd to turn on you. I'm not going to repeat this comment. You guys, this has been so much fun. This was toxic femininity from a root chakra perspective. What does it look like? What are the results? What are some of the things that it can result from? I just want to get your wheels turning. Couldn't cover everything tonight, but in the next series, in the next part of this series, we'll be doing sacral chakra perspective on toxic femininity. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here tonight. Thank you so much for the comments and questions and all the encouragement and love in the chat. I love you guys so much. Everybody have a wonderful night. I will see you guys back here next Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. Central. And I'm also having a group sound bath event coming up at my energy healing studio. The event is going to be on Eventbrite, and I will put that comment or that link in the description box. Okay? All right. Love you guys. Mwah.